This is called the bandsaw, and the reason why is because the blade that goes on this thing is one long band. It spans from this upper wheel down to the bottom wheel. Okay, a couple things about safety with this machine. This machine is the same machine that butchers use to cut up cows and pigs, so you have to be very mindful of that. This machine is very powerful and you do not want to slip. So I'm going to tell you a couple things about this on how to be safe and how to effectively use this machine. First and foremost, this is the blade guard right here. It's adjustable. Obviously, whenever you're working on something, you want to have the most amount of the blade covered at all times. So for instance, if I'm going to be cutting a board that's this thin, what I will do is I will loosen this up, run the guard down the whole way until it bumps it, and I'll just gently slide it up. Now, if I would ask you this on the test, this distance is going to be about 1/8 of an inch. Okay? A couple other things about this machine in regards to safety. Whenever we're using this, there's a line right here. This is called the cut line. Whenever we're using this, we want to make sure at all times that our hands, more specifically our thumbs, are never in this cut line as we're cutting something. Okay, so once again, this is a close-up of the cut line. This is where you need to avoid having your thumbs if this machine were on. So if I was cutting this board right here, you do not want to have your thumbs in this imaginary line that's right here. You always want to have them off to the sides. If you have to cut out a curve, which is what this machine is used for, you want to shimmy your hands so that they never come across this cut line. Okay, the purpose of this bandsaw machine, most specifically in woodworking, is to cut irregular curves out. Basically, every other machine here it's going to cut something straight, either at an angle, but it's going to cut something straight. This, we can actually change the action as we're pushing the board through the blade. And because of that, this machine uses friction. Well, you want to have the least amount of friction as possible whenever you're using this. So to do that, you have to do something called relief cuts. So if I want to cut out this curve right here, it's a good idea, and I drew this in the red marker here, to take the bandsaw and you're going to run it straight in here until it almost touches your line on all these pieces. Now the goal is, imagine that these are actually cut out right here. When you are running this, my fingers are in the cut line here, that when you're running this, as you're cutting through, every time you make it to where you had a relief cut, it actually relieves the tension on the blade. And whenever we use this, you'll actually be able to hear it. The higher the tension, the higher the sound of the blade. It gets like a higher pitch. So I will show you guys. Our safety glasses are on. I'm going to turn on the machine. I'm just going to do a couple of these relief cuts and I'm going to cut along this curve. Okay, it's kind of hard to see here, but the green button says start on it and the red button always says stop. So let's start it up. What I'm doing right now is these relief cuts. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to shift around here so I don't put my body in the cut line. Slide over here. Okay? So as I come around and start cutting this, turn the power off. Okay, now the power is off, but you can still hear the machine on. Now there's the foot pedal down here. I'm just holding the work in place. I'm just going to step on this foot pedal just to pulse it until the blade stops. Now the reason why I stopped this a little bit early is because some of the chunks that I was cutting out actually got stuck behind here. So if that happens to you, what you do is just like I did. You hold down on the board. You hold down on the board right here, and then you just turn the power off, and then you pulse this brake right here with your foot until you hear it stop, and then you don't move anything until you visually look at this and see that the blade has not moved at all. Now what I'm going to do, since the blade has stopped spinning, I'm going to take a pencil, or something that you have on you, and move these pieces out of the way. Now I can continue cutting with this. That's the basic lowdown